और इसके साथ हम प्रार्थना करते हैं कि हमें अंधकार से प्रकाश की ओर, अज्ञानता से ज्ञानता की ओर हमें ले जाए और परम पावन 14वें दलाई लामा जी की आशीष और मार्गदर्शन सदा हम पर बने रहे। हम यही प्रार्थना करते हैं। और इसके बाद मैं मोनपा कुल गीत के लिए आप सबसे निवेदन करूंगी कि आप सभी अपने अपने स्थानों पर खड़े हो जाएं। Now for Monpa Kul Geet, I would like to request everyone to kindly stand up at their respected places for our Monpa Kul Geet, Mon Kul Geet. Thank you so much, everyone. Now you can sit down in your respected places. Thank you so much. Tselek, and a very warm good morning to each and everyone present here. I, on behalf of all Monpa Students Union and the entire people of Mon region, would like to welcome you all in the second day of our seminar in the sacred place of His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama. We are truly honored to have Geshe Tenzin Tselek, a respected lecturer at the College for the Higher Tibetan Studies, Sara. So now I would like to humbly request Geshe Tenzin Tselek to guide us on 4 noble principal commitment of His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama. तो मैं गेशिला से निवेदन करूंगी कि हमें परम पावन 14वें दलाई लामा जी के 4 प्रमुख संकल्प पर मार्गदर्शन करने की कृपा करें।
Hello. Yeah. 동행인지 송도 주별람 체질세제 간진 땡초고 차나배모 땡진 교수로 소와드수 현들 튼주쇼 잠배도 정하라 왕조시 로드 품상 이시 뒤진다 땡지 가지로서 제베게 파조 차나배모 소와데. Good morning to everyone. Without taking much time, first of all, it's been great honor and privilege to have this opportunity to talk with a group of group of member student unions, who came especially for the offering long life ceremony to His Holiness Dalai Lama on the occasion of 90th birthday, or we call Kodun, right? Like, so I really appreciate and admire the effort that was made by the student committee. And just a month ago, we, like the Tibetan group of Tibetan students, also have like the offering long life ceremony to His Holiness just a month ago. So it's great effort, and I really appreciate the privilege of having me here, sharing or shedding the light on His Holiness Dalai Lama's one of the main, like the 4 principal commitments of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So, sorry I was a little late because I was coming from the Sara College. How many of you know the Sara College? Okay, 1, 2. Fair enough. It is like 30 kilometers from here, like the Guggle airport, right? We have the airport like down there and near the Guggle, so it was very close to the Guggle airport. 10 minutes, and like Sara is College for Higher Tibetan Studies, where like students all around the world, including like Tibetans and Himalayas, all the students and many international students come to learn like the Tibetan language, the philosophy, and like the Tibetan grammar. So I will speak more like English. I think I know Hindi, but maybe my Hindi won't help in such like stage. So I will talk like mostly into English. Hope you will understand, and we can have a question and answer if you don't understand. So let me start. When I look at the curriculums, or sorry, not the curriculum, like the brochure that you have made, the series of talk. When I look back, yesterday, Professor Sangdong Rinpoche, right, and the Gyudu about Kangsan Rinpoche talks about the dialogue between mind and science, right? Kangsan Rinpoche yesterday morning was talk about the dialogue, dialogue between the Buddhist science and modern science. I think it is very interesting topic. Hopefully, like Rinpoche has enriched you a lot. Then the afternoon was talks about the Professor Sangdong Rinpoche. He talks about the sea learning, right? Sea learning, like SEE, sea learning. And today my topic was like more like even broader. I would say the broadest topic. I got the broadest topic. I don't know, like it would be wonderful if Professor Sangdong Rinpoche talks more about the 4 commitments of His Holiness, because it is like this topic, or the principal commitment is His Holiness, like the biggest legacy, and I think this is the most vast topic, and I don't know whether I can like give justice to this like topic or not, but I will try my best, because my kind of work and my field is more closer to the like sea learning and those things. It would be wonderful if like I got the sea learning and Rinpoche talks about the 4 commitments of Dalai Lama. So anyway, they both like merge, and they like both of them come into like one of the main commitments of His Holiness. Okay. First of all, let me like at the beginning, His Holiness always say like 3 commitments for a very long time, right? The 3 commitments. Like I think now many of you have the idea about like his 4 or 3 commitment. At least you know the what are the 4. If not, I'm going to like show here what are the 4 commitments. First, let us know what are the 4 commitments, right? Like as a human being, promotion of basic human value. 도와 미시 임베찬에 미시 임베찬에 미랑신 행기기 참진 누버 공벨스 저와 당보 the first one. Second one is as a Buddhist monk or as a practitioner, promotion of religious harmony, right? And Chabashig imbe찬에 출루 낭편주 튠질스와 the religious harmony. This is the second one, second commitment. And the third one is as a Tibetan, preservation of rich Tibetan culture, heritage, cultural heritage, like including the environment and Tibetan language. 배바시 배찬에 배배 최다 리슝 고리육숭겹스제와. So this 3 has been the 3 commitments of His Holiness Dalai Lama for a very long time. But later on, I think due to the special reason, he add the 4th commitment on top of this one. And can you guess what is the 4th commitments that he add More recently, like at least 4-5 years back. Can you guess? Oh, revival of ancient Indian wisdom. Very good, thank you. The fourth one, like due to the special reason, I think he add this, the fourth one, Gyagar Nangi, Nayu Rikshung Kyarso, like revival of ancient Indian wisdom. So many people like confused that they might, some people say like revival of Nalanda tradition. I think this is not true. One should say revival of ancient Indian wisdom, right? This is the correct one. Okay. So these are the 4 commitments of His Holiness Dalai Lama. You can say the promises, or the, like in Tibetan we call the Tuki Tamja. Tuki is more or less like a shesa, but mainly like the gengur, the responsibility. In Tibetan, we say the tuge means the commitments actually, or the promises that the responsibilities that he carries for rest of his life. And His Holiness like said very clearly that the first 2 commitments he will carry until his death. The first 2 one, and necessarily the 4th one also, he will carry this kind of commitments until his death. And the 3rd one, like being a Tibetan, so here I think it's like right now His Holiness like give up the political responsibilities to the elected one, right? So he said that once like Tibet will be more free, then he will willing to give up like the political responsibility to the Tibetan people. And actually he did this from the 2001. He like slowly retired, semi-retired from the 2000. Then in 2010 we have an elected like president or in our Tibetan community. So he said that like these, like the first one, second one, and like I think the 3rd and 4th also, he will carry his legacy until his last breath. So these are the 4 things, right? So now let's go into one by one. So look at this one. How many of you have seen this, the banner or this His Holiness, like the word of His Holiness? How many of you have seen this? I think many of people like it's all over in the macro like market. You will see on the walls, like it's on the cart, right? The paradox of our age. This is like it's all over in the macro. When you go into like people will give you like on the cart, this written on the cart, on the wallpaper. आप लोग मैकलोड में जाएंगे ना, ये बहुत देगा ये जो banner, His Holiness का word. Now look at this one, the paradox of our age. Like this is like it's pretty early. His Holiness talked like much earlier. Like it's not a recent like His Holiness like word, but it's pretty early. Look at these. Can you relate in this modern world in the 21st century? I think His Holiness talked this in the 1980s. Now look at like, does it relate to the modern world? We have bigger the house, but smaller families. More convenience, but less time. We have more degree, but less sense. So these are the paradox, right? Geldu. In Tibetan, we call the geldu, right? Hindi में क्या कहता है paradox को? सोचता करता कुछ और है, सोचता कुछ और है. उसको क्या बोलता है? Contradictory. Geldu bolda है ना, geldu. In Tibetan, we call the like geldu. And paradox means something which appears does not exist. Something that we think and happen differently, right? So things are different as it appears to us. So we have like more convenience, right? क्योंकि we are in the digital world, right? Things are much easy. Let's say if someone wants to find about like about the McLeod, just type. Things comes out so fast, right? We are more convenience means बहुत आसान हो गया. किसी चीज को ढूंढना इतना आसान हो गया ना. Everything seems like the world is in your hand. But when you ask the people, do you have a time? Time नहीं है बोलते ना सब कुछ. Less time. Actually, the digital world is meant for like having more time for individuals and having more time. But in true sense, all people say, I'm busy, busy, busy. I don't know where they are busy at. Then more degrees, but less sense. Very true. More knowledge, but less judgment. More expert, more problem. This is real, right? Now in the world, there are so many experts and everywhere, but look at the problems that we face. बढ़ते जा रहे problem तो बढ़ते जा रहे problems. More medicine, but less helpness. True. Look at the COVID, like we all witnessed COVID, right? COVID-19. Nobody can do nothing. Just it's till now there's a COVID in this like the COVID virus is still medical like treatments. Any medical treatment cannot like eradicate or solve this like this virus, but still here, right? It's only the matter of time. We have been all the way to the moon, moon and back, but trouble crossing the street, the neighbor. This is little okay in the like Indian community and like very a close community like our Tibetan community. Remember Himalaya? We are living together. We are more social actually. Actually, Asian peoples are more social than the Western world. Western world people live in different separately and they don't know who their neighbor is. Like it's very sad to know that. We built more computer to hold more, the information to produce more copies than ever, but less communications. We have become a long in quantity, but short in quality. There are time for the fast food, but slow digestion. Tall man, short character. Steep prophet, but shallow relation. It is time when there is much in the window, but nothing in the room. Like, isn't it beautiful? It would be wonderful if someone like translate into Hindi or something, right? This is something advice like I would say it's a prophecy, Lungden. It's more or less like a Lungden of His Holiness, the present world that we are living, right? So it seems like a lot of problem is there in our social community, right? So what do you think is like the underpinning problem? वजह क्या हो सकता है? Problem तो अनेक है, लेकिन if we just count down, what is lacking in us? Is it due to the climate condition that we are facing? Is it due to that we are like become more educated? Is it problem? So I think these are the problems that we see. Now, like His Holiness and also Professor Sandor Mujitos said, when we merge these bigger problems into more detail, these are the 5 major problems that we face in the world, the presently, okay? The 5 major problems that not only individually, nation by nation, but the whole world is facing, okay? First one, overpopulation, isn't it? Before it says like 7 billion, now it's over 8 billion people, 8 billion like, and India and China is like 1.5 each, 1.2 and 1.3, a huge number of population. This is one problem, overpopulation. Second one is gap between rich and poor. People are like the businessmen, the corporate peoples are getting like richer and richer, and the poorer section is like becoming poorer and poorer, isn't it? So what will be the problem if this gap go on like expanding? What will be the problem? More the gap, more problem. There will be unrest. There will be like frustration. There will be anxiety, because whole wealth is going to one direction, the richer people, and peoples are suffering a lot. This is also one problem. I think down the line, this problem is related to our economic theory, so-called the capitalist, right? Capitalist. Also, like the capitalist, the social economic theory that the world is running, so socialist and capitalist. So related with the capitalist, like people, like the people's like greedy, the people's like इच्छा, मनुष्य का इच्छा खत्म ही नहीं होता, बढ़ते जा रहे, and the resource is limited, and the attachment, the greedy, is go on. So it will be a problem. Now the third one is more important: human violence and war, isn't it? We are living here more like, thank God to Indian government and like thanks to the Indian people that we can live more like calm and peace, like no war actually, right? And I think you all know that India is the only nation that have never been on war to other nation. Like people, the outsiders might attack on us, Indian people, but India has never been on war outside. This is, I think, the model of ahimsa, the non-violence that India have shown to the world. So we are living more peacefully because like we adopt non-violence. But what about the ongoing wars that right now, the very moment that we are here? What about the Ukraine and Russian war? What about the Palestine and Israel? It says that it finished, but I think it won't finish. What about the war in Africa? I think 50% of Africa is on war right now. So there are look at this quarter. So when you look around, like, it's violence everywhere, right? It's like, it's sad that I have to start my talk with the violence and like problems. So this is why the commitments of His Holiness is needed in the modern time. This is why the compassion is needed. Like करुणा की जरूरत है, ठीक है? हम ये नहीं कर रहे कि करुणा करो ना करो, ऑप्शन नहीं है, जरूरत है, क्योंकि this time we are really lacking compassion. That's why all the problems that we see in this world, somehow, if you find one point that what we need, the solution, is compassion and ethics. This is what we need in the modern world. That's why, like the commitments, like His Holiness, like the 4 commitments are needed. That's why the ethics are needed. Naitikta is needed here. Then look around the environmental destructions. Every year by year, it's getting worse and worse, environmental problems. Then on top of this, the 5th one, like the Chulu Tengir, dispute among the religious tradition, right? Dharam ki naam par kitna ho rahe? Like, I think that the religion itself is not a problem, but the institution, the people who carry this, I think, misunderstood or misinterpret or misuse their power on the name of religion and then create problems. So these are the major problems, the 5 major problems that you cannot avoid. We, like individually, we cannot avoid this because this is like the problem that we whole world is suffering. So now let's see, is there solutions? Like, what could be the solution? If you're a responsible citizen, what can we do? This is the first solution. Is this the first solution? Is religion the solution? Can we solve all these problems by becoming more dharmic, like being more religious? Do you think that religion can solve this problem by more prayer? Do you think? I think definitely it will help individual, but since this problem is not individual problem, but it's a whole problem. So another one is, religion is not universal. Not all people in this, not all the people in this world are religious. I think over 1 billion are non-religious, non-believer. So what about these people? So I think religion alone is not sufficient. This is not a solution. Can we enforce law? कहीं rules बना सकता है कि आज से ये मत करो, वो मत करो. Can we make law by Indian government or the men, the MPs have made the law that today onwards we are not going to have war with others, or we are not going to have the environmental destructions. Can someone make law? I think it's also difficult because those people, the biggest problem is those who make the law. They break they break first. This is the problem. Even the laws is difficult because you cannot impose law on some people's ethics. So this is another difficult. Can materialistic development solve these problems? Materialistic means building infrastructure, bringing more facilities in the schools. Can these solve the problem? I don't think so. If this is the Western world should be much more happier because they are having the best materialistic value. Japanese, the Korean, they are at the top of the materialistic comfort. But still, there are so many problems, especially emotional problems. Why young students are taking life, suicide? Why students of 17 or 18 years old come with a gun and shoot students? Thank God it's not happening in India, but in America it's one of the most common news in the Europe. Every other day there was some shooting in the school, not in the war zone, okay? In the schools, killing young children. What's the problem? Are they demanding that they don't have electricity? Are they demanding that they don't have internet? Are they demanding that they don't have a proper food? No. I think this is a totally different problem. So these things that you have to analyze. Now, so materialistic development, it is good, but it has a limitation. Now let's see, what about the existing modern education? Can education be the solution? Education? I think there is like more hope comparing the first three. Education, shiksha, vidya, has more potential. But what about the modern education, existing modern education? अभी जो स्कूल में पढ़ रहे हैं ना हम लोग, education, math, science, and those things, is it enough to solve the problem? Education, existing modern education means अभी जो हम लोग स्कूल में पढ़ रहे हैं, कॉलेज में पढ़ रहे हैं, science, physics. So His Holiness said, I think among these, education is responsible to solve this problem. But existing modern education is not complete, means it's not covering the whole thing. Existing modern education focused or oriented only about the external materialistic value, but it lacks the education of mind or education of the heart. This is what His Holiness is saying. So now it is the time that we need an education that can talk about the human ethics, human value, human mind, and human emotions, right? In the schools, let's say, I think in your schools, they might be teaching, like, who is teaching you, like, which teacher will teach you when you get angry, do this and that? Do the math teacher teach you that? Science teacher? English teacher? What about the religious teacher? Like, they have a potential, right? When you are getting angry or when you are attached, when you are unhappy, every day it happens, right? We are getting angry or agitated. So what kind of support does the school give you to make you more happy? Other than like the education, academic education. What kind of support do we get from the school to nurture our emotion, to make one more happy, okay? Not just learning, but be a happy person. So these things, like now, like His Holiness said, that, like this is the now we need an education that has like the true, can able to teach the young children and the whole world about the ethics, netikta, right? About the human values. Now look at here, His Holiness, this is like the very important and like the one of the important statements of His Holiness, the first one. A revolution is called for certainty. We need a revolution. What do you call revolution in Hindi? Kranti, right? We need a kranti or revolution, right? We need a revolution. Kranti is certainly, but not a political, okay? It's not a political kranti, neither economic or even technical revolution. We have had enough experience of these during the past centuries to know that a purely external approach will not suffice. What I propose is a spiritual revolution. Now we need a spiritual revolution. Spiritual here doesn't mean religion, okay? Spiritual is about the inner values, right? About netikta, about our mind, not necessarily religion. So this is what His Holiness say, we need a spiritual revolution. How? How can we bring the spiritual revolution? Now look at the second one. Compassion and love are not mere luxuries as a source of inner and external peace. And look at the last one. This is called the secular ethics, right? Yesterday, I think Professor Sangton just talked a lot about the secular ethics. I hope all of you have more knowledge about the secular ethics. How many of you understood about the C learning? I think it was introduced in many of the schools in the modern time. C learning in the school? Did the teacher or the administration talk about the C learning? Not at all, or you heard, right? C learning, social emotion, not this one, okay? Many people think that C is like seeing something, but it's an abbreviation, right? Social, emotional, ethical learning. This is like the C learning. So I think I'm going to talk more about this one related with the first promotion of human value. We need an approach to ethics that can be solved equally acceptable with the religion, faith, and without. We need secular ethics. Now let's see. Look at this one. What is the first vision of His Holiness regarding the first, his commitments? His Holiness warned, in the schools and college, that just like we teach maths and science, we can also teach ethics in school. My hope and wish is that one day a formal education will pay attention to what I call education of heart, okay? Educating the heart. Doesn't mean what is the heart and what is what about the blood pressure, but educating the heart means being more compassionate person. Like when we say like head and like mind and heart, mind means wisdom, okay? Heart means compassion, being more compassionate. Karuna, daya, sahanubhuti. These things are like what the human values that he is talking about. So I look forward to a day when children and students will be more aware of their feelings and emotions and feel a greater sense of responsibility both to themselves and towards the wider world. जब आप लोग गुस्सा होगा, किसी ने आपको बुली किया, तन किया, महसूस कैसा होता है? अच्छा तो नहीं होता ना, महसूस तो कहाँ? जब किसी ने आपके ऊपर गुस्सा कर दिया तो किसी को खुशी नहीं होगा. लेकिन क्या करते? What's your solution? आप लोग ज्यादातर क्या करते हैं? रोता है. किसी को और दूसरा या like it will be like a like response. किसी के ऊपर और गुस्सा दिखाता है, fighting करता है. Is this a solution? I think no. Like so, when you have these kind of emotional problems, we should have a solution to this one. And I think the religious perspective will teach you these things, but these can be also teach just like in education, like academically, we can learn these things. Like a young children, without any religion, can think and like learn compassion through non-like belief, like without touching the religion. This is called the secular ethics. So wouldn't that be wonderful? Like this is His Holiness like wish, like अगर ऐसा होगा तो कितना अच्छा होगा. सभी बच्चे को गुस्सा काबू करने का अगर कोई तरीका मिला तो ऐसा नहीं होगा जब भी गुस्सा होगा चिल्लाता है, किसी के ऊपर मारपीट करता है. If someone has like a technique, it's a skill. Like I think it skill है. जरूरी नहीं है कि जब भी गुस्सा होगा तो prayer करो. You can build a skill, right? So C learning teach those skills, how to become more compassionate, how to like navigate your emotion. Okay. So look at this one. I think introducing C learning, like introducing secular ethics. So if you're a religious person, like the God become the ground of everything, right? Dharmic, like law of causality, karma, dharam bolta hai na. Yeah, you believe in the karma, so I shouldn't get like I shouldn't get angry because if I bully others, if I get angry, I create negative karma. This is what we say, right? This is what the believer says. भगवान की मर्जी के खिलाफ होगा, इसलिए मैं गुस्सा नहीं करता, किसी को तंग नहीं करता, किसी को like ऐसा ठेस नहीं पहुंचता, ये बोलता है ना. This is the religious way of doing. Now, what is the alternative? Secular project. Secular. Do you know the meaning of secular? Secular means dharma-nirpesh, like dharma-nirpesh. Secular means not touching the religion. Without like, secular means like a human approach, not necessarily a religious approach. You can say that I'm not going to harm him because if I harm him, he will harm me. This has nothing to do with religion, okay? This is just a common sense, isn't it? मैं आपको ठेस नहीं पहुंचूंगा क्योंकि मेरे को अच्छा नहीं लगता. I think this is enough. This is common sense, isn't it? If I get angry, I get defeated. I'm not happy. I think this has nothing to do with religion. This is about like the human emotion. So instead of like the concept of God and karam dharam, what could be the basis, ground of secular ethics? These two. His Holiness has laid the C learning foundation or the secular ethics on these two principles, right? Principle means the two main ground. The first one is common sense, the common, like the common humanity. Doa michikur. These two are called the two pillars of secular ethics, okay? Two pillars means, why pillars? Why pillar was used here? What's the role of pillar in the house or in the building? To support, right, the primes. Without pillar, I think building will collapse. Likewise, without these two principles, I think ethics doesn't make much sense. So secular ethics is based on these two support systems. One is the the common humanity. His Holiness always said, right, whenever he go out, like whenever, I think 90% of his like speech, the teaching, especially when he meet or greet the world, he always say, I'm one of the 7 billion human beings, right? He always say, dear brothers and sisters, I'm just one of the human being, one of the 7 billion human being. Like he always start his lecture with these things, right? A very like informal way. I think it is a very like a strong sense of ethics. पहले तो मेरे को ये महसूस नहीं हुआ. His Holiness बहुत बोलता है ये दोबारा. Again and again he say like, dear brother and sister, I'm just one of the single, we are same. I don't know, but later on, when you think more and more, it gets more essence. Like it really show like his genuine practice of thinking that we all are same. I think this is one very important, like common humanity, thinking that we all are same. And like this is His Holiness first like commitment, right? He always said like oneness of humanity, right? What happens if you say we all are same human beings? What's the first reaction? क्या महसूस होता है जब हम बोलते हैं ना हम सब एक है? अगर जाति की बात करें तो मैं इस जात से हूँ, इस जात से हूँ, ये लड़का है, ये लड़की है. I'm from the rich family, I'm illiterate, you are like, I'm literate, you are illiterate. ये धर्म, वो धर्म. धर्म की within the like Buddhism land, we say I'm Sakya, I'm Kagyu, I'm Gilo. Within the Kagyu and Gilo, I'm Drukpa Kagyu. So many like, if you go on just dividing, even within two twins, you can divide. Identical twins, you can find division, but it's like never ending. But what happens if you say just we are same human being? Like it has a great like moral values behind this one. The moment let's say we are together, we are same, that really brings together. This is what we need, because I think the major problems that we face in the world right now is you and me. मैं और तुम. Once it start, like the division start, my interest, your interest, then problems start. You agree? Even within the friends, even between like father and mother, husband and wife, even between like one of the like your best friend, if you just go on saying that मेरा मर्जी आपका मर्जी, मर्जी के हिसाब से जाएंगे तो दोनों झगड़ा ही होगा. लेकिन but we try to live together because we are trying to think that we are friends. We are trying to think about the common interest, isn't it? So I think this is very, very valuable. Like, not just saying, even like saying and like putting into practice, it will make a huge difference the way of your life, how you live a life, and how you look at people. And I think you remember that His Holiness always said that. His Holiness always said like that. He never think of himself as a Dalai Lama. He always thinks that he is just one of the human beings. He said that if he thinks too much about Dalai Lama, me, there's only one Dalai Lama, isn't it? In this world, 7 billion, 8 billion, there's only one Dalai Lama. That very concept, that very moment that saying, I'm Dalai Lama, makes him separate from the rest of the humanity. That makes him lonely. Do you want to be lonely? Sometimes when you are too frustrated. But not for a long time, right? Because we are social animals. We have to be with human, right? You cannot live individually for a very long time because we are not good at it. Because we humans are social animals. We have to live together, whether you like it or not. Everything that you depends on others. We are interconnected. So this is the second one. Now look, why we need to be together, why we need to be like, come together. Because we have no choice, because we all are interconnected. This is another principle. This is the good word. I like this word. Means किसी के ऊपर निर्बल रहता रहे. मैं आपके ऊपर निर्बल हूँ, आप मेरे के ऊपर निर्बल है. मानो या ना मानो, like you have to depend on one another. So interconnectedness or interdependence is the second concept. Very important. The more knowledge or the deeper understanding of interdependency you have, you will cherish the common humanity, no doubt. You will be more compassionate. Once you start thinking that I'm independent, I think now many people are trying to like advertise that I'm an independent man or I'm an independent woman, right? Everyone tries to be more independent, isn't it? So I think it's against our nature. I think that how independent you are, but you can never be independent. You have to rely on others. It's a nature. So the very concept of interdependence, like thinking that it's a wrong, it's an illusion. So how rich you are, even the Elon Musk, the richest person, he's highly dependent on so many people, isn't it? So you cannot be independent. So these two are very important concepts. On these bases, then you have to be compassionate. I should not harm my neighbor. I shouldn't harm him because I'm dependent on him. I should not harm my enemy because I depend on enemy. How I depend on enemy? How I'm dependent on enemy? What enemy gives you? The problem? How will you say that I'm dependent on enemy? Without enemy, I think you cannot learn or teach you tolerance, the patience. Buddha will not teach you tolerance. His Holiness will never teach you tolerance because they are a very compassionate person. They will never get you get angry. But your enemy, like those difficult persons, will teach you patience. And patience is so important. Karsa, what you call patience in Hindi? Sahan Shakti. Right. What do you call patience in Hindi? Sahan Shakti, right? Sahan Shakti, red. Sahan. Because in this world, every day we have like ups and downs, and not all our wishes are fulfilled. So we need Sahan Shakti, we need patience, right? So these two are the two pillars of secular ethics. Now let's like summarize the first commitments of His Holiness Dalai Lama. His Holiness have been working like tirelessly, travel the whole world, and carry the message of peace and compassion, isn't it? He is like the beacon. He is like the master of compassion. Not just he is giving the teaching about compassion, but he act karke dikhaya. Sirf bol ke nahi, karke dikhaya. That's why he became the compassionate person. And it's not just like the devotees person is talking, but all around the world, even the non-believers, when they come to visit him, they always, the first things, the word that come in like in their mouth when they get asked that he's a very peaceful person. And that you can feel like tomorrow or day after tomorrow when you get audience with His Holiness. When you encounter him closely and look into his eyes and gaze him, you will see feel the aura. You can feel it. All people feels it. So people call it like energy, right? Aura. You can really feel it. This is the power of compassion. So this is not like he's like Avalokiteshvara, but he practiced compassion for his whole life. So this is like the message of peace and compassion. So this is the promotion of his first commitments. Received numerous prestigious peace award all over the world. The next building, I think you are going to visit. Did you visit next the award room of His Holiness? So the next building, you will see the whole the prestigious award, the prestigious the medals recipients like His Holiness have received all over the world. When you look at these people's including Nobel Peace Prize, the Templetons, all these things, you will see how many awards and how many prestigious awards His Holiness have received all over the world. Not that he's the leader. There are so many leaders, right? Not the reason that he is a religious leader. There are so many religious person who create more problem. So I think the very reason that he did is I think the 4 commitments, especially taking care, talking about the promotion of the happiness of the 7 billion people, thinking about the common thing. Even though we Tibetans have lost the country, even though he came as a refugee, but when he go out, reach out, he never say that we lost our problem, we have this problem, that problem. Rather than saying this, the first thing he's trying to say is, what can we do to make you happy? Thinking about, concerning about their well-being, not individual. Let's say if I'm a refugee, if I go out with a group of people, first thing I will say that my problem is I will start with this one, but His Holiness never tried this one. His Holiness always say concern about their well-being, compassion. Isn't it great, right? His message, oneness of humanity, is heard and admired by millions. Very true. Most importantly, now this is C learning, introducing ethics into education, okay? Now His Holiness, over the last many decades, he's talking about universal responsibility and secular ethics for a very long time. And he's saying that now only the education system can do something, but this education system need to complete. We need to add education about the heart. So he had been saying a lot, but no one is working, but no one is working down the line. Things are not happening at the bottom line. His Holiness go on talking. Now His Holiness said that one day, now I have been talking this for a very long time. Nobody is doing it. Actually, they admire, they appreciate it. Now, then His Holiness pointed out, asked, the Emory University to create or to set up the curriculum. Now, do it. I'm saying for a very long time, you have to do it. Now, set up the curriculum or set up the lesson syllabus about ethics without touching the religion. That is secular, right? Without touching religion. Means without any basis of any particular belief. Just talk about the ethics on the basis of interdependency and common humanity, right? So now, I think in 2000, the committee have started doing works from the 2010, and I think on 2014 in India, in Delhi, they have launched the C Learning, and the Dalai Lama Trust have launched this curriculum called the C Learning, Social, Emotional, Ethical Learning. So this is the collaboration curriculum that was being launched in India, but now it was being followed by so many countries, okay? Do you know which countries say, we want that education? Do you know which countries come first? Colombia. You never imagine Colombia. The Colombian government reached to the C Learning Committee that we want that education system in our country, not in because there have been a lot of problem in the schools, in the community, shooting, bullying, killing, in this South America, Colombia. And they see that there is something wrong in the education system, that they are lacking something that they need to teach from the very young age. And on that moment, the C Learning was launched, and they was very happy to have that education in this school. So likewise, I think now over 100 nations worldwide is having this the education system in the school, and now it's expanding more and more. I think in the future this will be a great vision, a future education for the young children about educations. Now the question was being asked: do we need this like the Buddhists? Do we need such education? Or this is debatable, but we can talk later. Curriculums look at this curriculum: C Learning, SEL, Social Emotional Learning, Ayurgyan Nas. This is also Samdon Rinpoche. Professor Samdon Rinpoche was the one that created that curriculum, Ayurgyan Nas. Actually, it was meant for the Indian people, students. Ayurgyan Nas. This is another syllabus. Then for the elder people, this is called the CBCT, cognitive-based compassion training. This is these are the curriculums that we have right now. Now, I think 1 hour talk will be definitely not enough for everyone. So I would highly recommend you to read. This is the role of teacher. Me being a teacher, role of teacher is to show the line, show the direction of the library, okay? Not to spoon feed you, but I would recommend, or highly recommend it, to read these 2 books, the 2 books of His Holiness about his first commitments, promotion of basic human. First one is Ethics for the New Millennium. Okay, you will find in both in English and Tibetan. I think so in Hindi also. The second one is the Beyond Religion. This is the later one, published in 2010, I think. The Beyond Religion. Okay, these 2. Read this, and you will find a lot of information about the first vision of His Holiness. Okay, now let's move to the second one, the second commitment of His Holiness. Now let's see the first commitment, and then the second one. Religious harmony. To have more friendly relation between the religion. Because on the name of religion, it's one of the biggest problems that we face, right? On the name of religion, Hindu dharam, this dharam, that dharam. Then like Protestant, Catholic, like Sunni, Shia, within the Tibetan community, like Sakya, Nyingma, Kilu, Gagyu, like there are so many like dispute on the name of religion. So I think it's very needed, very much needed in this modern world about the harmony of religion. Okay, so His Holiness, to promote this commitment, His Holiness not just give teaching that we should be like stay harmonious and friendship, but also he act. He always like he's a man in action. सिर्फ बोलता ही नहीं करके दिखाता है वही तो इसलिए तो महान हो गया. His Holiness shared the stage with religious leaders, attending and hosting numerous interfaith and interdisciplinary seminars, right? Like within the religious, like he holds so many seminars. I think in the internet you will find His Holiness with different kind of caps of religious, right? He's wearing sometimes Muslims like the small cap. Sometimes he's wearing like a, this one, what to say, Hebrew, like the small one, like the Israeli, like, what is the religion, like? Jewish, sorry, the Jewish like cap, Muslim cap, the Hindus, like sometimes he wears the Hindus like Pandits, like. Then he had like, you will find His Holiness in various kind of like religious cap, right? Why? Like he's attending many seminars and he is like trying to find the religious person together and let's sit down and talk what we can do better for the world by not creating more division. So this is like, then you will find His Holiness visiting temples, church, mosque of all religious faith. Like, then more importantly, like taking the pilgrimage of the holy site, like Kumbh Mela. I think His Holiness has visited Kumbh Mela several times. The Kumbh Mela, the biggest like Mela in Hindu, right? The Kumbh Mela. Where was the most recent held? I think Prayag. Which one? Prayagraj. The most recent one is at the Prayagraj. And His Holiness had like witnessed and was invited to attend such gathering many times, and His Holiness attends these things. Why? Like to finding the harmony, respecting others, encouraging religious believer to keep their own faith less confusing. Like this is very important, right? His Holiness never tried to convert other people's religion. He had so many occasions to go to the West and talk about the Buddhism, but he always said that, like, keep your own faith. If you're Jewish, keep it. If you are like Christian, keep it. If you are from the Muslim background, keep it. If you are from the Hindu, keep your own dharam. But like, think more about the humanity and follow the message properly. This is his like message to the whole world, right? I think many people like many religions try to convert, right? There's a lot of conversion problems in the Northeast area where there is like on the name of education, and these things happens, right? We all know, right? And His Holiness like also said that, like suggested to the Christian brothers that yes, you can like help them, medicate them, educate them. If there is no religion to these people, it's okay, but don't try to convert those who had already have certain religious background. This is his like request to the like other fellows. Then publish books to foster deep like reference towards another. I will name the book later. Within the Tibetan Buddhism, this is important. Okay, now we have to know that being we follow the same religion, the Buddha Dharam. Within the Tibetan, His Holiness like received teachings, and he had a teacher from all the sect. Okay, eventually he's from the Gelug tradition, but he had a teacher of all the sect. I'm not sure about the number, but if you know the number, you'll be shocked. How many teachers do His Holiness have? Do you know the number? I don't know the exact, but I think over 30, over 20 or 30, okay? We know like His Holiness has two great tutors, like the senior tutor, Ling Rinpoche, and the junior tutor, like Tijang Rinpoche, two tutors. But when he come into exile, like he received so many teachings from the Nyingma Lama, like Dilgu Khyentse Rinpoche, Sakya from the Sakya Khenchen, and like Kagyu, like he had received so many teachings. And like he relied on so many like spiritual leaders, like Tibetan. He didn't say, I'm Gelugpa, I'm pure Gelugpa, and I have to sit. I shouldn't get any kind of religion, like teacher from other, but he opened up. So this is like real thing, like to understand, to show the other people that all the the religious things share the same message. Like this is like I think the great act of His Holiness. Another one. Now let's see. Now this is a good question. So many faiths. Now question is like, let's say we should have a religious harmony. We should, or like, जाति और धर्म के बीच में कोई ये नहीं होना चाहिए. We should live together. We should have a samman. Like we should live together. But there are so many faiths and religion. Is it harmony possible? On what basis, like, are you going to say that it's possible? We all have a different philosophy, the different riti rivas, the way of different doing. Some are doing right way, some are doing wrong way, some are reading from the top to bottom, some are reading from left to right. Some are wearing yellow, some are wearing black cap, some are wearing yellow hat. Like so, in terms of philosophical and in terms of like the ways of doing, it's so diverse, right? So is it possible to have harmony? The first thing is yes, it is possible. It's very possible. Despite the difference, but all religion share the same message of love and compassion. This is one thing, okay? They might teach you differently. They might give you different philosophical सिद्धांत और पूरा धर्म का सिद्धांत अलग होगा. किसी बोलेगा किसी धर्म बोलेगा God exists. Buddhist बोलेगा God doesn't exist. Someone will say that there is a free will. Some will say there is no free will. Some will say there is Atma. Some will say Anatma concept. So in terms of concept, Atma and Anatma. In Tibetan, what you call Atma and Anatma? Atma and Anatma. This is like Sanskrit term, okay? Atma, the self concept, right? The concept of self. And Buddhism is anatma, selfless. Means no self concept. So these are the difference in philosophical. There are huge difference in philosophical way. But since all religion share the same message of love and compassion, that's why we can sit together. This is one thing. Different paths, but the same goal. That's why we can live together, right? Each one of us have a different desire, but we live together because we have same goal. That's why it's possible. Now, then what about the faith? Theba? Should we have faith all religion? Because we respect all? Should we have a faith? Is it confusing? Should we have faith in all religion? By saying that we should be like religious harmony. On the name of religious harmony, are you going to have faith in all religion? Will you say that I'm a Hindu, I'm a Jewish, I'm a Buddhist, everything? Because we should be more harmonious. So how will you make difference? Like Theba and Kuba. In Tibetan we say Theba and Kuba, right? Theba means the faith, believe. And respect is other thing, Kushab. So we have to make the difference between these things. One shouldn't confuse. Look, religious harmony is possible. First one, the difference between faith and respect. Right? This should be your policy. Respect all religion, but faith towards your own religion. This we have to like. Why respect to all religion? Why we should have respect all religion? What do you think? Because these religions have been serving humanity or benefiting human beings for a very long time, for thousands and thousands of years, right? So people have been worshipping different kinds of religion for a very long time, and they have benefited a lot from these things. That's why things that benefit others, things that is helpful for many people, we should respect. We should be respectful for the water. Why? We should have, I won't say respect, but it's very important, right? You can respect water. You can respect the nature. Yeah, we say Mother Nature. We respect the Mother Nature because it's benefiting us. So do all the religions benefiting so many peoples. That's why we should have respect. But the faith is concerned, one shouldn't have faiths to all. It is a bit confusing, like saying that I am Buddhist and Hindu. And nowadays, they are saying Buddhist Jewish or Jewish, there are so many confusing things, but don't confuse that. Faith towards your own thing. Now this is important. Second one, the concept of one truth and one religion. Like His Holiness mentioned that ek dharam, ek satya, right? So this is the concept of many religion. Like there is only one truth, one religion. This is their own religion. Let's say if I'm Buddhist, if I say there is only one truth and one religion, that is Buddhism. Leaving no rooms for any other religion, right? So His Holiness suggested that one truth, one religion is relevant to individual. to have proper faith. But in the community, it's better to have more religion and more faith, several faith and several truth. Because why? Why it's better to have diversity or several truth and several religion among the community? Why? Because we all are different, right? Our interests are different. Our mental thinking is different. Our disposition is different. Our thinking is different. Interest is different. So according to the different interest, different belief, different truth, different teachers, so the different religion, isn't it? In Tibetan we call kamdamyoba, right? Kamdamyoba. Semjen tamje kamdamyoba kaka resido kamdamyoba, right? So this is another one. Now, the book that I would recommend you to read about the second noble truth, the second commitment, Shulu Tundila. This is the very good book, like His Holiness, like has published for the religious harmonies towards the kinship of faith. In this book, you will find the major religions, their concepts, their belief, their way of doing, and the teachers, the teachers and the masters, the spiritual masters that His Holiness has met and sit together and they talk. So His Holiness has explained in detail about each of these religions separately, like the Hindu Dharam, the Sikh Dharam, the Jewish, the Judeo-Christians, and Muslims, like his way of his perspective on these religions are explained in detail in this one. So you will find the translation in Tibetan. So now the third one, let's move to the third one, the preservation of rich Tibetan cultures. Like now I'm not going to talk much about this one because now regarding His Holiness third vision is about as a Tibetan, right? So now imagine that from the age of 16 till 90, now His Holiness this year is 90, right? From 16 to 90, he's taking the full responsibility of Tibetan people. And not only the Tibetan people, he's taking the responsibility of the whole humanity. Can you imagine, age of 16? Because I think many of you, youngest one, 16, anyone in 16? 17. So think about oneself, when you are 16, if someone asks you to take the responsibility of whole nation, so I think it's a great responsibility. हमारा बचपना खत्म नहीं होता 16 पर तो responsibility तो दूर की बात है. So at the age of 16, he took the full responsibility of the leader, both religious and political leader of His Holiness. The second one. And the period that we have been from when he was 19, I think 40 something, and 59. This is the most difficult period in the Tibetan history. The time the Chinese invaded, and the young boy at the age of 16 has to take the full decisions that whether we should live with the Chinese, whether we should, what we do, the negotiation with the Chinese government, with the big regime, the communist, no compassion at all. On the other side, the religious boy, a young, age of 16. And in the book of His Holiness, recent book, The Voice for Voiceless, he said that a boy without much knowledge about the political have to deal with these communist people. And then he come to India, another so the Tibetan situation at that time is so critical, so difficult. At that time, he had to guide the Tibetan people. So it's a great deal. Then the third one is upholding Tibetan identity, culture, and modern world. Definitely His Holiness is the face of Tibetan, and not only face of Tibetan, but he's also the face of Buddhism, right? Establish, this is the deeds, establish CDA in exile, coming into refugee by the grace of Indian government, and the gratitude to the, by the, with the help of, with the permission from the Indian government, establishing Central Tibetan administration that you see right now, a set of government refugee, a set of government where it's a fully functional and taking the responsibility of I think, representing the 6 millions of Tibetan people and representing the Tibetan people, especially the spokesperson of the Tibetan inside Tibet, and trying to solve the Tibetan issue, negotiate with the Chinese, and like doing these things and leader of such thing is not an easy job. So, and giving the democratic systems, introducing middle way approach, now resolving the Sino-Tibetan issues, like he laid down like this, the policy of like the Ume-lam, right? In Tibetan we call Ume-lam, the middle way approach. Neither we are seeking independence, nor we are happy with the present situation inside Tibet. We need a middle way approach. This is the like His Holiness approach. So I would highly recommend another book. So being a teacher, it's my role to like introduce books. So read on, The Voice for the Voiceless. This like recently published. I think many of you have already seen and read. But it was a wonderful like experience, and it's a very like touching. Being a Tibetan is very, very touching like book, talking about like every steps and every kind of like the decisions he makes, how he made the decision, how he escaped. Like Tibetan was like a sandwich in between these two nations, the big nations, the India and Chinese. Like we have become like a sandwich. Like we have to rely too much on these two nations, have to negotiate with others, and have to like sit here and everything. Like it's when you read this book, you will find the responsibility that His Holiness is taking, and the decisions that he make was so wise. So I think it will be a wonderful book to read. Now let's finish. I think it's better. The fourth commitment is like His Holiness is like recent like revival of ancient Indian wisdom. As I said, that due to this like importance, seeing the importance. First thing is like His Holiness has been a longest guest of India. He had been living in India for 1959. He's always like describing him as the longest guest of India. And I think this is the one reason that being a guest of India, it's responsible to talk about the Indian tradition. Another one is being a students of Nalanda, the students of Indian tradition, the rich Indian tradition. That then like finding that Tibetan Buddhism, whatever the Buddhism that we have, is originally from India, right? The Nalanda tradition of India. So His Holiness, this is a very important one. Gautam Buddha comes from the rich Indian culture. So I think it's very like strong statement. Like His Holiness always said that Gautam Buddha is the result of rich Indian tradition. So one should really appreciate the rich Indian tradition. So when we say revival of ancient Indian wisdom, like so His Holiness like has a deep gratitude and appreciation towards the profound Indian wisdom. And now when we take, what is the ancient Indian wisdom? Right? Why we need to like revive? I think two important things. First one is ahimsa and karuna. Ahimsa and karuna. The difference is ahimsa is the result, the behavior. Ahimsa is the conduct, the behavior that we see. In order to be totally ahimsa or non-violence, the motivation is karuna. So His Holiness really highlight the karuna in this world. But Mahatma Gandhi highlight the non-violence, isn't it? Mahatma Gandhi is the father of non-violence, we say, right? He became the advocate, or he became the master of non-violence, showing the India about independence, like Mahatma Gandhi, non-violence, ahimsa, right? So non-violence is an action. In order to act non-violently, ahimsa, the motivation should be ahimsa. So this is His Holiness talk about the ahimsa. And karuna, same thing. Second one is like rich Indian culture. The ancient Indian wisdom is so rich in mind and emotions, right? His Holiness, when he met with the scientists, he always said that, I think Khansar Rinpoche also might talk that, when we talk about the mind and emotion, the Western psychology is like a kindergarten. Their knowledge about the mind. The modern psychology, Western psychology, their knowledge about the mind is like a kindergarten. Means like, on the other side, the Buddhism, and especially the ancient Indian wisdom is so rich and so old. Rich about the mind and mental factor. So it's a very, very long, it's a rich culture. So we have so many things to talk about and learn from these culture. Then His Holiness always realized that India is our guru and we are reliable chela, right? So being a chela, it's responsible to serve the Guru. So returning the favor and repay the kindness to the Indian people that was so grateful to us, like taking the refugee, like 10,000, 20,000, like over the 200,000 refugees into India, like giving us opportunity to educate, to set up the separate government, like central government for us. So Indian has been one of the greatest, like the helper for the Tibetan refugees. So it's duty to repay the kindness. So this is like the fourth commitment. So regarding the fourth commitment, especially the ancient Indian wisdom, His Holiness, it's also a long project now, already finished now. It's the ancient Indian wisdom, right? One of the topic, I think, no, like His Holiness has divided the Buddhism into three sections: the Buddhist science, Buddhist philosophy, and Buddhism. So I think it's related with the third one, the ancient Indian wisdom, include the Buddhist science and Buddhist philosophy. So under the guidance of His Holiness, with the like scholars, like they have published 7 books, taking from the Gangyur and Tengyur, okay, separating the Buddhist philosophy and Buddhist science from Gangyur and Tengyur. We have 300 volumes of Gangyur Tengyur, right? Right, we all have the same Gangyur Tengyur. When you go into the monastery, मंदिर में जाता है तो दो तरफ एकदम बड़ा वाला scripture. On the one side Gangyur and other side is Tengyur, right? The teachings, the direct teachings of the Buddha and the translations written by Indian masters, Nalanda masters. We have like 300 volumes. We have a huge, like these are like the real textbook. So among these, like we took out, like separate the Buddhist science, mind science and philosophy separately, and then this is like what we have, like now guess what, I asked the ChatGPT about the 4 commitment, and this is the summary that I got. How wonderful AI. I didn't make it. I just put my PPT in like ChatGPT and asked, like, make a summary. Now, like another one, artificial intelligence is really like taking over, and it's very helpful if you can like use in the proper way. Look, this is what I've received so beautifully. Like I think if I ask a teacher, some other like person, it will take like another like 4 or 5 hours to do this, to summarize it. Look at ChatGPT. Divided beautifully. The commitment, focus, and beneficiaries, like the summary tables. The first commitment's about the human value. The focus is on compassion and ethics. And beneficiary means, kisko ye milta hai? Benefits all humanity, right? This is the widest one, the vast one. Second one is the religious harmony. The focus is about respect and dialogue. And it benefits all religion. The third one is Tibetan culture, preservation and rights, and it benefits the Tibetan people. And fourth one is ancient Indian wisdom. Focus is about study and contemplation, and it benefits the Indian people. So, in short, I would like to we read this all together. Okay, this is the last the slide, and it's taken from the interreligious faith book, the Towards the Kinship of the Faith, right? So this will be wonderful to end this with reading out loud. Okay, we will read slowly all together. Okay, to all people, religious. You don't need to we will read together. Okay, yeah. To all people, religious and non-believing, I make this appeal. Always embrace the common humanity that lies at the heart of us all. Always affirm the oneness of human family. Let your heart be softened by the balm of compassion, reflecting deeply upon the needs and aspiration of yourself and others. Let not difference from the view of others come into the way of the wish of their peace, happiness, and well-being. When we see another person, let us feel our basic affinity. In this place, there are no strangers. All are brothers and sisters in their journey through life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Geshe. Now we directly move to the question and answer session. So if you have any questions, inquiry, and doubts in your mind, then you can directly ask Geshe. तो अगर आपके मन में कुछ डाउट्स है, कुछ शंका है, तो आप डायरेक्टली हमारे गेशिला हमारे साथ विराजमान है, तो उनसे आप डायरेक्टली क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं. तो अगर किसी को डाउट्स है तो रेज योर हैंड.
Tashidilek Geshe. As we talk about His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, we always talk about peace and compassion. But I want to know from your point of view, what does a person needs to be a compassionate? Thank you.
Why we need compassion?
No, what are the ingredients, like if we make a food or anything, we need ingredients to make. In the same way, what are the things that a person needs to be a compassionate one?
So he wants to know what are the causes for compassion, right? We say we should be compassionate. So the question is, what are the ingredients for compassion? I see to be compassionate person, these two, I think the true principle that I have taught is most important. Oh. These two, the biggest ingredient, the common humanity. It's very important to think about the common humanity. With this view of thinking that we all are same, then respect comes. Once you have the view of too much self-interest, like me, and always trying to make difference that you and me separately, we are separate because we have different desires, we have different views, we are different biologically or whatever you say. Once you start dividing, then there is no room for compassion. So genuine compassion starts where you see everything as an equal. So commonality, shared humanity. They say, His Holiness always say, shared humanity or oneness of humanity is the ground where you can put the flower or plant the compassion. This is one thing. So in order to see common humanity, now wisdom have to use properly. Why we need to be compassionate? Because now it will help the second one, interconnectedness. The wisdom of interconnectedness, seeing that we all are dependent. That's why we have to be compassionate. So interdependency should be the concept to help to make your compassion more polished. Sometimes our compassion becomes so biased, right? It's called biased compassion. Our compassion reach only to our nears and dears. Why? Because our compassion is limited. So in order to make this compassion holistic, where it can only also reach towards the enemy, then you're really your compassion becomes really, really powerful. So sometimes when we have a temperature, we have a thermometer, right, to test. So how will you test your compassion? Level of compassion. Definitely there will be no gadget for seeing the check compassion level. See whether your compassion only reach towards your friends and family, your compassion is very limited. Now let's see when there is a third person, जान पहचानने वाला कोई neutral person है ना, उसको क्या बोलते हैं हिंदी में? अनजान आदमी. When your compassion reach towards the anjan atmi, a third person, if he is suffering, whether your compassion reach him, it's more stronger. Then see, when you reach your compassion towards those persons that makes you difficult, that makes you very angry, so-called enemy. If your compassion reach towards this person, can able to reach and think about this person, then your level of compassion is much, much stronger. Then there is a hope that I can be compassionate to all sentient beings. So this is how we should start. Eventually, it should start with your friends and family. A person who cannot love oneself cannot love others, okay? So first you have to love oneself. Love oneself doesn't mean one should have attached to oneself. Seeing that just like I want happiness and do not want suffering, just like this, all sentient beings also want suffering and do not want, all sentient beings also want happiness, do not want suffering. I think this is enough, the common humanity. This is common humanity, sharing the same interest, same desire. Deba chikpa, right? Topang chikpa, the same right. We all want, like, we all have a right to be happy, right? We all desire, and we all have the same potential. So same desire, same right, and same potential. There's no difference in any one of us. We all have potential to be happy, to be enlightened. So these are the very important things. Two things: common humanity and interdependency is the biggest ingredient.
As you mentioned earlier that one's trying to convert others into one's religion. So my question is that I have many friends who doesn't belongs to the Buddhist community. So how can I make them? How can I promote this SE ethics and the philosophies of His Holiness without making them feel like I'm trying to convert them, or without making them like follow my religion type?
Oh, very true. This is why secular ethics is being taught.
Yeah, so how can I promote them to other?
So, like, three ways. Like, you can have a three approach without relying on religions. Like, the common sense. Use common sense. Like, if I harm you, like, you are going to harm me. If I get angry, I get the wrong impression. I get agitated. So these are the common sense, right? If I do good to you, if I help you, you are going to help me. These are the common sense, right? So nothing with the religion and God and Garam and Dharam. So common sense is one approach. Another one is common experience. Means we all want happiness, right? I think if one time in the classroom, I asked these questions, like asked the young students, okay, do you want more friends or more enemy? I asked these questions to the group of students. One girl just raised her hand and she said that neither I want no more friends, no enemy. I just need only one good friend. This really shocked me. So actually, being a social animal, we are living in a society community, right? If you have more friends, a reliable, trusted friend, you feel more safe, right? So I think the common sense, through common sense, being more compassionate, being more empathetic to others, a sense of concern for others, can be more friendly than getting angry, saying you and me and every time, right? Getting agitated. So this is common sense, thinking that if I be more angry, it doesn't benefit me and others. It's not good for my well-being. Even my health deteriorated, right? If you get too much angry. Some angers, right? You are so much frustrated with that person, and that some people don't even know that he is angry to you, right? कई होता है ना, बहुत गुस्सा करते हैं, दूसरों को पता ही नहीं चला आप गुस्सा है. So totally useless, right? But in return, you get agitated, sleepless night, and making it's ruin your whole day. So it doesn't benefit others and also oneself. It destroys oneself. So these are the common sense. No religious. We are not talking about the God. We are not talking about the next life and enlightenment. Just like the common sense. And third one is scientific findings. These three are called the three approach, the three methods of secular ethics. Okay, instead of the religious belief, these are the three things. Common sense. Through common sense, you can teach ethics. Through common experience, you can talk about the ethics and scientific findings. What scientific findings can we have? Did Kangsa Rinpoche talk about some of the scientific benefits from the research that if you be more happy and compassionate, that things are happening? These are the research, right? For example, there's one research that comes out that a person who is saying I many times has a higher risk of heart attack. A person who is saying me many times, right? They have a higher risk of heart attack. It's so funny, isn't it? So we should talk more about we. So we know that happy mind, healthy mind, happy body, healthy mind and healthy body, right? So these things truth comes out with the scientific research. So scientific research will benefit to explain. You can explain common sense, right? Since the very word common sense that both of can understand, there is nothing to do with religion. And common experience, share your experience that these things really help.
Toshidile Geshe-la. I have one question.
Yeah.
That why does Dalai Lama believe compassion and inner peace are essential for global peace?
I think, look at the problems that we have. Overpopulation is a different case, but gap between rich and poor. Why? What's the big problem? Too much like greed, human greed. Not thinking about other person's like interests. Like taking so much from others. It's lack of compassion. The gap between rich and poor is the problem of lack of compassion. Look at the human violence that we see, the war, the ongoing war, okay? Why? If you have a little sense of concern that we are same human being, I think nobody will willing to take war on others. Like, even the neighbors, like, they are just like same human beings. And look at the Ukraine and like Russia. Whether they like it or not, they have to live together. How long are you going to war for each other till like each one of the civilian will extinct? Till then, are you going to go for war? So I think the very reason the concept of war is like outdated, His Holiness said many times. So it's a time for negotiation. It is time for come to the common ground and think about the mutual benefit. Respect others. Think about the others' interest. And then, like, the lack of compassion is another, like, to the problem, human war started. Now look at the environmental destruction. Same thing. I think we don't have any concern about the environment. And look at the third one, fourth one, fifth one also, religious dispute. If you have a religious, interreligious faith, if you respect all religion, there is no room for violence. There is no room for division. So all the major problems that we face eventually like started like too much like attachment and too much like anger. So the solution for this one is, the only solution is compassion. Sense of concern for others' well-being means don't be too selfish because you are living with someone else. You are with someone else. So have some concern about others' well-being also. This will make you much happier. So compassion is the solution for all this. It's like a panacea, means a medicine that can heal everything, right? So if you are compassionate, things will be much different in this world. We won't face that much problems. Yeah, I think seeing this from the long vision and having the rich Indian culture have all these values within this, His Holiness want to share this message with this Indian rich culture to the whole world, Karuna and Ahimsa. But if it just keep as a religious perspective, not all people are religious. So it is very difficult to promote. So take out separately, like talking about the ethics in general and share like about these values. And one thing, like, you don't need to be very logical about compassion, why we need to be compassionate, because even the animals appreciate compassion, isn't it? If there is a like, if you're very angry and like, if you just beat your dog on the daily basis, then I think even the cats and animals like will run away from you, isn't it? So even the animals appreciate the compassion. So we should, human being intelligent, should know the value of compassion. 부지체.
Tselek Geshe la. Tanda kanzu problem nga yurla sa andi sangmala solution da. Ani khare cheluk da ani chingumbu yarge tanga da ani modern education da ani khashi lobda do mara da and consola secular ethics dikandis dichir da.
No. Jesa, it's not about like whether you go to the school or not, like common sense. Chigi samshi cheche, understand it, right? Lobjo mena ya samlo tang thuru. The way of thinking is there, right? So why His Holiness choose like ethics into education is because this is where the young generations comes out, right? The present like generations, like I think 90% have the education, like the facility to like go to schools, right? If like it's a century back, then it's like reasonable that many of like people, students go to like many like will not go to school. But this time, I think 90% of students will get education. 아니, 지난 제베이나, as I talked before, like compassion is common to everyone. It's our basic human values. Like compassion is not something that we have to bring from outside. It's not like a software that you have to like come from outside. It's there already. What we need today is like we need to promote it with help of our wisdom. So to generate wisdom, we can use common sense. 지기질라. Pena kinala 미지기 딱 pena kinala roa. 콩도 딱 봐서 되는 선밖에 없는 도. If you're angry every time, you won't be happy, right? So these things, I think, from your own experience, you can understand. Education doesn't mean like going to school, but educate oneself means you can learn from the experience. Let's say the life between the life living in a city and life living in a village. See, which is more social. If you face problem in the cities, I think you have less people to come and say hello, hi, because all people are like, even though you are really living like just close neighbor, but nobody talks to you. So in here, right? Here. Look at here. We have been all the way to the moon and back, right? Human exploration never ends. We went to the moon, that's okay. Now we are trying to go to the Mars. I don't know why. Investing so much money about the Mars. And the world that we are living, we are destroying and trying to find out something, a new planet. I don't know whether we can survive. Even though we can survive, I think a very limited person can go there. Do you think we can go there? I think no money, no one is willing to take us. So we have no option rather to preserve this world. So we have been all the way to the moon and back. But we have trouble crossing the street to meet the new neighbor, right? आपका पड़ोस पता नहीं कौन है पता नहीं चलता लेकिन बहुत दूर चलता है. Social media is like this. You have so much followers, like people, them influencer, so-called influencer, they are saying that I have this follower and that follower, right? I don't know whether they are real friend or not. So living in compare these two lives. Now living in a village where there is a social community. If you have a problem, the problem of one become the problem of whole village. Your neighbors will come. Like we all, I think we have witnessed the life of village be more social, more live, like concern for others, because we need each other. This is thing. We have to live together because we need each other. आज आपको कोई ज़रूरत है तो किसी से मांग लेगा. कल आपको उसको ज़रूरत है आप उसको मदद करेंगे. So we are interconnected. We are more social. Now look at the big cities. Like everyone's trying to be more independent. That's why when you face problem, you're left alone. So these things, I think education doesn't matter. Like you have to know from your own experience that trying to independent and trying to separate oneself from the society is not a human nature. It's against the human nature. So living within the human, social, and being more friendly, being more gentle is the best solution. So if these skills are being taught from the very young age, it will be wonderful, right? If we in the C learning, one of the things they show a video, one student is jumping, okay, and other people is saying that why you are jumping, you are annoying me. This is one response. Then when you respond that why you are jumping, student, it's annoying me, it's disturbing me. He said, I want to jump because I'm not happy. Instead of this, if you have another approach that, do you have a problem? One student is jumping and this is the response for the other one. Do you have a problem? Can I help? This very like the jumping students stop and saying that this is a different approach, right? So the approach make difference. So we have some people say that we don't have a choice. I'm angry because I have no choice, right? There are multiple choice. Actually, we have a lot of choice.
First of all, I believe that I believe more in believing, and I believe that if we have a doubt, we can be debatable I think that. And as per the questions and answers, I found out that kind of like common solution is that we can use your common sense, that I heard. And I think that as per the whole lecture, I heard that if you think of we are all same, we are common, and thinking of commonness, and if we think only thinking that wasn't bring me kind of like, if I think that I study a lot about the sea learning and many more, but thinking just about that was doesn't bring me any kind of like inner kindness. I'm not saying that I'm doing something wrong or that, but just thinking about it doesn't make it happen or kind of like work it on in daily life. And using my common sense also doesn't work many way. And I think, how can we kind of like not only thinking or using our common sense, how can I bring inner kindness or kind of like work it in society?
Commonality, thinking about the common things. I think you are thinking like about this like common interest. Maybe you didn't feel it, but some people like, you don't see the like instant growth, right? So this is one problem with the modern world. Like we expect too much. We expect many things so quickly. When we say efficiency, means jaldi hona chahiye pura, kyunki we think that everything is coming like internet. If internet become little slow, we get frustrated, right? So these inner values, one thing that makes the inner value difference from the external, like materialistic, is it takes time and it takes consistency. We need consistency. This is the biggest challenge for the inner growth. We need time, we need commitments, and definitely it will going to like take little time for sure. So expecting that it will come pretty quick, I think it's where we are like little ahead of time. So have some patience. अभी कहना मुश्किल होगा कि बदलाव नहीं हो रहा है, लेकिन you can try, right? But different, like with wisdom. Action should, like whatever action you do, one should like, compassion is a motivation, okay? Compassion is a motivation, good motivation. It's like an anchor. It is like our stance. If you have a decision making things, certain difficult, think from the compassionate standpoint, what could be the best way to benefit others and oneself? So compassion can be a good motivator. It can be a good, anchor to make decisions in your life. But this compassion should not be a foolish compassion. It should help with the wisdom. If wisdom helps the compassion, then compassion comes into the right direction. Sometimes our compassions, without knowing the things properly, might harm others. Okay, so rather than helping, your motivation is good, but it's harming others, right? So that's why compassion should accompany it with wisdom, proper wisdom. Then have some patience and time, then it will bring change, definitely. So there's no need of any discouragement and seeing that there's no change. But seeing that everything, like we are same, that's enough, like that really makes you one of us. If I say I'm the only Geshe in this room, that's really things that I make separate. But thinking that I'm just one of the like believer, that really brings together. So I think that kind of like sense of oneness, sense of like being together itself is a great. It is beauty, actually. Do you want to be a very unique one? Is that your dream? Just kidding. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Kishila. And now, on behalf of all Monpa Students Union and the entire people of Mon region, I would like to request Program Executive Head of Program, Akashwani Tawang, to kindly felicitate our Kishila. Thank you so much, Kishila, for your precious time. Thank you so much, Gishila. And Gishila, lunch has been arranged in arranged at Tsuklakang. So I would like to request you to kindly join there and enjoy the meal. Thank you so much.